a few videos that we have out there on the Lehigh Valley Elite Network. So without further ado, give us some of your credits. All right.
Thank you guys. Coming to you live here at Buca di Beppo in Whitehall, Pennsylvania at the Lehigh Valley Elite Network meeting. My name is Alex Renzetti, for those of you that don't know me. I am a visual branding manager with a company called Evolution Works. Not that you couldn't tell. That's basically what we're going to be talking about today, is how important your brand is to your business, to your industry. How many realtors are in this room right now? Raise your hand. Okay, right there, we've got more than one, right? So that means that we've got to separate ourselves from each other. And how do we do that? Is it your service that separates you? Is it your logo that separates you? Is it your company? Is it your corporate identity? That's all the things that we're going to talk about today, okay? Obviously, I've made a lot of impressions on you since you walked in the door. I was writing with a pen that said Evolution Works. If you haven't noticed, you can see all of the things around me that are displaying my brand for you to see as I've been talking to you, as we've been kind of coordinating, networking with each other. But at the end of the day, I'm making sure that my brand is front and center, because without my brand, I don't really have an identity to you. So today, where's my mouse? You probably hear the term branding being tossed around a lot, but what does it exactly mean? Anybody? Anybody have any idea what branding means? Or just want to give me your thoughts?
Identity?
Identity, okay. Anybody else?
Visual recognition.
Visual recognition.
Emotional tie into your products.
Emotional tie into your product. I'm glad you brought that up. Anybody else? Rita?
Well, it includes your logo, your font, your colors, your appearance, how you treat people, how people feel when they see your ad or land on your website or arrive into your place of business. You could have the best branding, meaning logo in the world, but if you treat people like that's part of your brand too.
Company signature.
Company signature. You guys, every single thing that was just said is included in your brand. A lot of people have a misconception that your brand is your logo, or vice versa, that your logo is your brand. The golden arches. Who knows what I'm talking about? McDonald's, right? Just because the golden arches are there, that's not their brand. That's their logo. That's how we recognize them. What colors are they? Red and yellow. We know that. We know that from years and years and years of getting the same impression from McDonald's since we're little kids. But at the end of the day, what makes you go to McDonald's more than going to Burger King? Maybe after dance recital, you always took your kids to McDonald's, and that became a special thing for them, and now they take their kids to McDonald's. It's all about the conversations that we have. We're in a social world. Social media is not a term to be taken lightly by any stretch of the imagination. We are in a social universe. Everything that's happening now, like Michael said, everything's going to your phones. Everything's immediate. Somebody brought up caller ID before and ran out to take a phone call. Could have closed a deal. Could have gotten a new connection. Could have brought somebody to this meeting. Everything that we're doing is about social interaction. So it's about taking that idea of networking and telling stories and connecting with people emotionally and translating that not only into your personal brand, but into the brand for your business as well. Okay. So as I'm talking, I want you guys to remember these three things, okay? First, know your audience. Who is your target audience? If you don't know who you're trying to talk to, everything that's going to follow is going to be mixed signals. It's going to be confusing. If you're trying to talk to men who are 25 to 30, are you going to have the same message as you're talking to women 45 to 50? Not necessarily. Now, if you're trying to talk to everybody, you're going to want to have a broader message. On the same account, depending on what platform that you're using, your message is going to be altered that way too, whether it's social media, whether it's a blog, whether it's, you want to throw a recipe up there. Anything that you're doing has to be targeted at who you're trying to reach. Otherwise, it's not going to work, or it's at least not going to work to its fullest potential. Everything counts. Everything counts, from your business card, to your trade show booth, to your name tag, to your Facebook, to your personal Facebook. It all has to be cohesive. Otherwise, again, we're getting into mixed signals. We want to keep things as simple as possible. You will have a very short amount of time to get the consumer's attention. How are you using that time? Memorable is vital. Memorable is vital. I don't think I have to really reiterate that. I think that's self-explanatory. Brand versus identity versus logo. This is kind of what we were just talking about. There is a difference. These three words do not all mean the same thing. Although a lot of people use them interchangeably, right? Oh, my logo is my brand is my logo is my identity. Your logo is not your identity. Your identity is based off of a lot of different vehicles that we're going to get into in just a minute. So this is my favorite definition for branding. It's the set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, taken together, like Rita said, account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. That's what I mentioned before. Why go to McDonald's? Why choose McDonald's over Burger King? Is it because you like McDonald's burgers better? To some, yeah. But like I said, to others, maybe you saw a Facebook contest and they were at the top of your mind when you went to pick your kids up from soccer practice. Maybe it's quick, maybe it's convenient, maybe it's closest to your house. Whatever that may be, it needs to constantly be reinforced. Just because McDonald's has been around for years and years and years doesn't necessarily mean that they stop what they're doing because everybody knows them. You can't get complacent. You can't just assume that everybody knows you, because if you don't show up to things like this, if you don't put yourself out there on Facebook on a regular basis or on social media, if you're not updating your website, you're falling off the wagon because other people are doing that. If you have a competitor that's constantly updating their website with new images and new articles and new tips and new advice, and you haven't updated your website in a year, aren't you missing opportunity? That's something to think about. So what media do you think is best for branding? If we're talking about stories and social interactions and things like that, kind of just gave you a hint, social media. Branding takes place heavily in 2016, 2017, in our world today, on social media. Why? Because we give each other the ability to share those stories. It's no longer just me, as Evolution Works, putting out a story about what I did this weekend at the Sands Casino. The Sands Casino then takes that story and they share it to their viewers. And now their audience sees what we did and they become proponents of our brand through the Sands. So it's all about making connections, not just in person, but digitally as well. An identity describes the visual devices used to represent the company. Okay, we're going to get into a little bit about style guides and things like that. This is really more of an overview, so I won't delve too deeply into things like this. However, you want to make sure that, again, your message is cohesive. So if you're using a logo and somebody else is using that logo as well, you want to make sure it's the same colors, it's the same fonts. If I put the name of my company in this font and then somebody else goes and writes Evolution Works in a different font, that's not going to really represent my company too well. I would want to say, hey, this is the font that we use. These are the colors that we use. Here's our logo. If you would like to put my logo on your flyer, that's great. I would appreciate if you would do it this way. Because otherwise, it's going to be confusing to people who might already be familiar with my brand and my identity. And then the logo, the central identifiable visual element that helps customers discover, share, and remember a company's brand. Again, going back to the idea of being memorable. Now, who knows what logo that is? Shout it out.
Apple.
Apple, right? What logo is that?
Apple.
And that?
Apple.
And that.
Don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. Why? Why don't you know?
Because I've never seen that logo before. The rainbow one is back in the 80s or 90s. The black one is probably 90s or 2000s, and the gray one is this one. That one never existed.
Now, this obviously Apple has evolved over time, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, you're right, this was their logo. But if I turn that logo black, it's still recognizable. Everybody still knows it's Apple. I could put a pear up here with the same bite and the same structure, and you would say, isn't that a mistake? Shouldn't that be Apple? But this one, this was not approved by Apple, so far as we know. This is someone on the internet, took Apple's logo, decided to change it up. Who's not going to be happy about that? Apple. Exactly. Very good. See, you guys are good.
Sarah.
Okay. Designing a brand's visual identity is a fascinating three-phase process. Phase 1, research, vision, and design brief. How many people have done a design brief for their business? A couple. This is crucial. If you haven't done it, I suggest you do it. There is no time like the present. Just because you're already in business doesn't mean that you can't revisit these things, and we'll get into that in a second. Phase 2, logo, identity, and guidelines. And phase 3, monitoring and rebranding. Rebranding, it's a scary word, but don't let it scare you. Okay, we'll get into that in a second. How is the brand perceived and positioned? What's your heritage? This is a great place to talk about brand. Buca di Beppo. Look around you, right? What's up on the walls? Everything that reminds you of that Italian heritage, whether it's from Italy, whether it's pictures of the Rat Pack, whether it's maps, whether it's food, whatever the case may be, you are saturated. From the minute that you walk into this restaurant, do you think you're eating Chinese food? Do you think that you're at an Indian buffet? No, you know you're here to eat Italian food. And what goes along with Italian food? Things that you know about just the Italian culture. You don't have to be Italian. We talk with our hands. We eat. This is a celebration. Sitting around the table is time to connect with people. This is a place for networking, if you really think about it. But they're letting you know from the moment that you walk in here and the moment that you walk into the other Buca di Beppo location that this is an Italian restaurant. And again, who's your audience and with which values and beliefs do you enter the market? If you're trying to reach a certain audience, your tone of voice for your brand has to mimic that. You can't come at people who, let's say somebody, your audience is a little bit more passive. Are you going to come at them aggressively? No, because they're not going to respond that way. And you have to treat your brand like it's a person. Just like as a person, you want sometimes to be treated like a brand. You want to put yourself out there as Alex Renzetti, visual branding manager, who might be different than Alex Renzetti Saturday and Sunday when she's playing with her dog on the couch. Very different. Okay. Logo, identity, and guidelines. How will you represent this brand visually? Once you have a logo, how will you translate it to different design pieces? And what will and should your overall identity look like? Okay, so a lot of logos start out with sketches, right? On a napkin, on a piece of paper, in a conference room. It doesn't really make a difference, but you've got to get an idea down on paper. So starting here, this is the beginning of a very famous logo design, stage 2. Does anybody know where this is going?
Firefox.
Very good. So something like this, that started with multiple, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of iterations on a piece of notebook paper, eventually turns into that, right? This wouldn't have existed if somebody didn't start sketching. And all of those sketches, they didn't just come out of nowhere. There was a reason. Why Firefox? Why Fire? Why Fox? It's fast. We're in the digital age. Everybody's always complaining about Wi-Fi, and this is slow, and the connection's slow, and the internet's slow, and I have this. Firefox is putting out there that they're the fastest around. Half of their logos include, or half of their slogans, I should say, include things like "in a blaze of fire," and things like that, trying to put out the image immediately that they're the quickest ones around. Style guidelines. Again, this goes back to the design brief. If you haven't done this, please, whether you are one person, a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, or you have an agency working for you and doing your designs, make sure you have a style guide. Everyone in your company, from the bottom to the top, needs to be using the same fonts. Your email signatures should be cohesive. If you have multiple people in your company, you should have a template for that signature. That way, if I email you from the design department, or somebody emails you from the sales department, or somebody emails you from the HR department, we're all from the same company, and we all put off the same image. Now, this, as you can see, I'll stand over here. This is the current Firefox logo, right? Everything else is wrong. Everything else you're not allowed to use. You've got a retired logo here. You've got another retired logo over there. You've got this one that doesn't have the earth, right? You've got this one. This looks pretty similar. They look pretty similar, but there's no topography on here. There's no geography. As you can see, it's just a blue sphere. This guy's backwards, and that guy just doesn't know what he's doing. We don't know how he ended up there. But that's what I'm trying to explain is if you try to use this any other way, yeah, if I use it this way, people are still going to know it's Firefox. But that's not how Firefox wants to be perceived. The identity system usually starts after the logo is complete, and its purpose is to form a systematic visual language around the logo. A family of useful, flexible elements that will help to design marketing and business collateral. So now this is where somebody like me comes into play. I sit with you, we do a marketing analysis. We figure out where you are. I want to know everything about you. I think Val touches on this too. I don't just want to know, can I make you a banner? Do you need a trade show booth? No. I want to see what you've done. I want to see where you are. I want to know what your radio commercials say. I want to know what you look like in your TV commercials. I want to know who you're trying to reach. These are all things that are encompassed in understanding your brand and helping make it cohesive across all of these platforms. So for us, you know, I have all of these things that you can see visually here. My trucks, my delivery trucks, they're all wrapped with the same logo. My business card is the same. My pens are the same. Our shirts are the same. Nothing changes. This green splat, it catches your attention. And at the end of the day, you're going to see that on everything that says Evolution Works. From outdoor and indoor signage, business cards, letterheads and stationery, flyers and brochures, everything, packaging, merchandising, uniforms, trade show and event displays, it all goes together. Anything that you're putting your logo or your brand on needs to be the same. Engage your audience. As beautiful as your identity design may be, if you're not putting it out there on social media, if you're not putting it on your website, if you're not sending handwritten cards, I know Chris did that over the holidays. Chris sent handwritten cards, you know, and delivered that to the Elite Network. And even though he couldn't be at the meeting that day, everybody remembered his name. That was huge. And he had his business card inside, right? Correct? You know, this also translates into promotional products. Do you put your name on a pen just so that your name can be on a pen? No, you're hoping that whoever you give that pen to is going to write with that and is going to remember your brand and your name every time that they pick that pen up. Look at this trade show booth, right? So Firefox took their idea and they translated, I don't know if you guys can really make it out, how it goes up, and it took over the entire convention. But you were not going to not go to the Firefox booth, right? Okay, this is my favorite because this is the scariest part for any business. Everybody hears the word rebrand and they shudder, right? You don't want to think about rebranding. Oh my God, how expensive. There's so many things I need to do. I need to redo everything. What's the biggest fear about rebranding?
Change.
Change and?
Cost.
People forgetting you.
People forgetting you. You have done all of this work over 5, 10, 20. How many years have you guys been in business back there, Slate Bell?
It's 1980.
1980, right? So they're sitting there now, right? They're ready to expand. They want people to know who they are.
Yeah.
But they have a group of people who already know. And how scary is it? Oh my God, if we change or if we put ourselves out there a different way, people are going to forget about us. People aren't going to remember who we were. The customers that we already have, we're going to have to work even harder to keep them. Not necessarily. Your brand is a living, breathing thing. Please treat it like one. Over time, if your target audience shifts, the market evolves, or the brand's products and services change, it may be time for a rebrand. But rebranding doesn't mean completely erasing what already existed. How many of you have seen this? in the
Oh,
store.
yeah.
Right? Old Spice. How long has Old Spice been around? Quite some time, right? This is what we see now. You know, I shop for my brother. I see these swag bags in Walmart and places like that, and I'm like, oh, he'll love this. The design catches me, and I'm a female. I'm not normally shopping for men's products, but for a gift or something like that, I like the design. Swagger. It speaks to the millennial generation. It grabbed me. But many of you probably remember when it looked like that. Right? Now, if you look, the biggest thing for Old Spice at the time, you could see the sailboat, right? Now, if I go back, it's still there. It might be really small. You might not really notice it when you're in the store, but it's there. And the people that get Old Spice now, who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever the case may be, will recognize that sailboat because that is what it was to begin with. The 5 principles of effective logo design: simple, memorable, timeless, versatile, and appropriate. Appropriate is key. I don't think I need to explain that. These are just some examples for you guys to see all different industries and how they take their branding cohesively throughout their different products. So you've got a restaurant, for example. Their menu matches the inside of their building, which matches their bags, their packaging, even their delivery trucks, and their website. Same thing here, construction. Just because you're a construction company and your work speaks for itself doesn't mean you don't need signage. Doesn't mean your vehicles and your bucket trucks shouldn't be wrapped. Because every single place that you're parked, you're now making impressions. And if you have a sign and a truck and somebody passes it, that's 2 out of the 3 impressions that you need to make a lasting impression. Remember that. It takes 3 impressions, whether that's hearing it on the radio, seeing it on a billboard, seeing it on a sign, getting it on a pen. 3 impressions for somebody to recall that brand. And finally, a gym, right? Their water bottles, their website, their t-shirts, their posters, their everything, even their letterheads and business
Their
cards.
abs.
All their abs.
What did I say?
So these are just some of the companies that we work for that have really given me the opportunity to understand how important branding is. Think about the Sands, you guys. The Sands is a humongous conglomerate. Everybody here knows the Sands, right? It's huge. It's one of the staples of Bethlehem, of the Lehigh Valley. It's bringing a tremendous amount of tourism here. And we get to go in and there's little tiny things, you know, we work in the event center and we put up their signage and we do things like that. But we're also constantly churning their retractable banners, changing their things, because we're keeping people interested. A lot of people that go to the Sands go all the time. You can't just have things be stagnant because then you don't make any more impressions. And just to show you guys some examples, you know, this is, for example, from Kendra's Cupcakes. Okay, Kendra's Cupcakes is located in Nazareth. They have wonderful gluten-free options. Now, how many of you guys have gotten, whatever, cakes, anything from like Wegmans or anything like that? Forget the band, just in one of these clear totes, right? You take it home. You take it home, you throw it out. But imagine taking something home like this, right? Now I have it sitting on my passenger seat the whole way home. I'm looking at it. It's vibrant. It pops off the band here. And at the end of the day, Kendra has just given herself a lot more credibility than just the average bakery that's handing you out goods in a plastic container, right? She's branding. This is very important, and it's affordable, so you guys have to remember that. You know, things like license plates. In Pennsylvania, I'm from New Jersey. In New Jersey, you have to have a license plate on the front and back of your car. Not in PA. In PA, you can have this on the front of your car, right? And just have your primary license plate on the back.
And then it's a tax deduction.
And it's a tax deduction. Thank you. See, all the more reason to do so. And things like this, you guys, this is so incredibly affordable. And it's a missed opportunity. You don't want to wrap your car, that's okay. You don't want to put decals on your car, that's okay too. Why not put a license plate on your car? This will cost you less than $10. Think about it, right? Last but not least, you know, some things like table tents, we had an event, like Michael mentioned, when I worked at Famous Smoke Shop, I planned an event for 1,500 people for 2 days. And it was an outdoor event, it was fantastic, we had all different segments. Now, I had a VIP, staff, sponsor, Drew Estate, right? That's one of the biggest cigar companies in the world. But I had a different sponsor for the men's staff shirts, and the same sponsor, but for the women's staff shirts. Now, at the end of the day, I could have just made everybody wear shirts that said staff. But you had hundreds of people walking around an event where Avo was selling their cigars, and you're being constantly rebranded with Avo every time you see a staff member in a vibrant color like this. And at the end of the day, it's just reinforcing, maybe I should buy Avo. I haven't tried Avo yet, maybe I'm going to try it. But I'm giving you top of mind awareness. Other than that, this is my information. If you have any questions, I'm always more than happy to help. Even if you just want to kind of bounce some ideas off me. Our website, as you can see, is www.evolution.works. That's www.evolution.works, and we are based in Easton, Pennsylvania. Does anybody have any questions?
I love what you had to say about identity, and anybody who knows me knows that I'm spending an awful lot of time in Atlanta these days, and I went to the propaganda machine, which is Coca-Cola. They have a museum down there. And I realized when I walked away, they can't say that Coca-Cola is healthy. I mean, it's terrible for you. They're selling you on a feeling, an emotion, that, you know, you're having a baby, you're going to drink a Coke. You're getting married, you're going to drink a Coke. That was what they were selling. So it had absolutely nothing to do with this disgusting garbage, but it had everything to do with the emotion and how you identify Coca-Cola. It's rather brilliant.
And think about the people who, I'm sure you've heard of people throughout the country. If anybody watches American Pickers or any of these shows, when they pay tremendous amounts of money for a Coca-Cola sign from the 1930s or a Coca-Cola lunchbox, you know, this brand has put, the business behind it has put so much together that people are collecting the memorabilia. They're collecting the advertising. Think about that. Imagine if you could, 20 years from now, have people collecting your advertising.